right, guys, I'm Doug Bruner, and this is The Toast. I am back here, and I'm excited. I'm here with Tony Lopes. Tony Lopes is a young man. How old are you, Tony?
25.
25 years old. Handsome guy. He probably could be the Bachelor of Ag. I mean, you just got the look of your smile, young ladies. Unfortunately, he is engaged. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I heard a couple girls talking about you at the Ag Center, but yeah, they found out you were engaged, but that's good. What's your future fiance's name?
Emily. So Emily Rosa.
Emily Rosa.
Yep.
That fits right. You got to be Portuguese, so
Yep.
you got to keep it in the family.
Yep. Checks all the boxes. Portuguese, Catholic, from a dairy.
There you go. Where's she from?
Hanford.
So you had to drive a little ways.
Yep.
So you milk the cows early?
Yeah. Milk the cows early, hop in the truck, but gives me plenty of time to catch up on the Toast podcast. So.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you stopped by along the way back. Tony got a great story. I've heard about Tony through just the Ag Center stuff. I saw a giveaway with sustainibeef. Well, was that with Root or the Ag Center?
So working with Root and I mean all the work.
Okay, I don't know which one it was on, but I know one day I walked in and I saw a big package of beef, and it looked good. It wasn't like one of those guys who come by in those trucks that you just pay to go away. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden you got 50 pounds of shit. You know what I mean? Tony is an entrepreneur. That's one thing I respect about my conversations with him. Earlier today, he is got an open mindset to where he wants to go in his life. I'm really excited to learn more, or actually let the listeners know. Tony is a graduate of Cal Poly.
Yep.
He has a dairy in Gustine with his family, 4th generation. Incredible, that your family's still going in the dairy business. I mean, Gustine is kind of a dairy capital, right?
Yep.
A lot of Portuguese there.
Yep. No, it's Portuguese dairies on every corner.
It is, and you have an inspiration in dairy. It really sounds like you're taking things to the next level, which we're going to get at later. What'd you go to Cal Poly to study?
So I majored in dairy science and then
Okay.
got a minor in agribusiness along the way.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I was a dairy science major, not using any of it anymore, but that's okay. We all take different routes, and you are taking a different route than just dairy, which you're wearing the hat, sustainibeef. We're going to get into that. You are growing a company, working on a company how do you say? I think you started that thing right before COVID opened up. Is that true?
Yep. So we launched Earth Day last year in April, and the first steers were harvested in March, and so it was like perfectly coincided with the pandemic and the whole world turning upside down.
We opened our irrigation company, I think, the week before, and all of a sudden we're shut down the next week. So it's like, son of a bitch. You know what I mean? It's like, what the heck, right? Mm-hmm. But trials like this will make you strong, and you are still here today, and it sounds like your business is thriving.
Yeah, well, it's like that saying, everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
Yes.
And so how we envision the launch of sustainibeef and sort of what the supply chain looked like as far as getting steers processed, how it was planned was very different than how it's played out, but that's been a fun challenge to navigate, and so we've just been focusing on making sure we keep our customers happy, growing it at the rate that we can with the processing capacity in the state, and just trying to make sure that each and every box is a good one, like you said.
Yeah, so Tony, I really want the listeners, well, they will be consumers after they listen, right?
Yep,
to really get who you are. I talked to you earlier today on the phone, just getting used. I've seen you, I follow you, I know a little bit about you, but I want to get to know more. You, in the 30 minutes I talked to you earlier, you are super educated, passionate about what you do. Convey that to our listeners today. I know a lot of times we get in front of a mic and it's a little different, right? We can sit here and just drink beer and shut it off, right? But I think it's really important that you convey some of the reason why you started sustainibeef, the reason why your other company,
Precision Genetic Solutions.
PGS.
PGS.
Right? Yeah.
Yep.
I was going to try to say the initials, but I think I was going to screw up on one, so I didn't want to do that. Tell us how you came back from college, like everybody does who has a family business, and you back on the dairy. Mm-hmm. You're there. You come back in 2018.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yep.
2 years later, you decide, I want to start my own gig, right?
Yep.
How'd the family take that?
My parents, I'm blessed that my parents are very supportive of everything, all the different crazy ideas I have on the dairy, to try and move our family's business forward, things that I'm doing.
You an only child?
I've got 3 younger siblings.
Okay.
So I'm the oldest, so graduated, came back to the farm, and I spent my whole life watching my parents work incredibly hard. Business in general within the state of California, the dairy industry specifically, there's a lot of challenges, a lot of hardships, and a lot of long hours.
For sure.
And so just watching them work as hard as they did to perfect what they did, try and get better each and every day, really was an inspiration for me. And the opportunity, after completing a few different internships, the opportunity to come back to the dairy.
What'd you do for an internship?
So
somebody told me you went to Taiwan or something like that.
Yeah. So
is that true? Taiwan?
Korea.
Okay.
Korea.
Same thing in my mind.
I went out and did research and development with Elanco in Indiana for a summer. I did sales with what was formerly Dow AgriSciences. Now it's Corteva AgriScience. And then right before I came back, I was marketing Real California Milk in Seoul, South Korea. So
really.
Got to see a lot of different things, and throughout that process.
What was the best thing about South Korea and the worst?
The food is actually incredible there.
Really?
I mean, it's unlike anything that I've ever experienced before. Just different flavor profiles. They do so many different things with fish, and quail eggs and kimchi and fermented this, that, and everything else. But
I'm passing on the quail eggs, man.
I didn't think I was that open-minded of an eater, but when I went over there, and the opportunity to experience their culture, just to be over there, experience their culture, and then the fact that most of the country doesn't speak English, and it's not even like Spanish where you can kind of figure things out and kind of phonetically work through it. It's like, there's a bunch of symbols and things you can't even sound out, and they give me the company phone and they say, you're going to go do some market research at a Costco on the other side of town, and you've got to take 2 buses and a train to get there. Figure it out.
Yeah.
And so those sorts of challenges were a whole lot of fun to navigate, getting to understand, Southeast Asia as a market opportunity for Real California Milk, getting to understand all the different facets that goes into marketing a product to a consumer. Really, really interesting stuff. Okay.
So worst thing?
Worst thing about Korea... it was...
The women?
Well...
Were you engaged by then?
I was not engaged, okay. But I was
or
dating.
The best. I don't know. Maybe that was the best.
I guess the worst thing is that I
Shit, they couldn't talk to you, so it don't matter, right? So you're winning.
Well, the worst thing is that I had Emily waiting for me back over here. She wasn't there with me.
Okay.
Hopefully that'll keep me out of the doghouse and rescue that whole line of thought.
There you go. No, that's cool, man. So you get back, you're back with the family, and then it's back to normality, right? Yep. You're just on the dairy, milking the cows. I get it. Feeding the cows every day. You got vet check, you got dry day, beef day. It's kind of the same routine, but you don't seem like you like the same routine every single day.
Oh, that's accurate. So coming back, the opportunity was just tremendous. My parents were really supportive on me, deploying different strategies related to the business, related to our company culture, our workforce, our team members. And so, more or less, I guess to give you some background on the family business, my grandfather was the cow guy, and my dad was the farm guy. And then, when I grew up, my dad had started his own dairy. My mom was actually running the day-to-day operations of the dairy so that my dad could focus on my grandfather's farming. And then when my grandfather...
Farming, what are you guys farming?
So corn, oats, alfalfa, just forage crops.
Normal dairy forages, right?
And after my grandfather's passing, my mom and dad both took on the responsibility of handling the cows and the employees. But my dad's heart was really in the fields. My mom was really...
on the dairy?
Really on the small dairies. And so adding that other location, just the uniqueness of our multi-site facility... There was a little bit of a void there, an opportunity for someone to come in with a passion for cows and employees to work alongside my parents. And that was a lot of fun. Some of the the
Did
opportunity.
your grandfather pass?
2013. So, the opportunity to get out there and transform an existing agribusiness. The opportunity was really there where I stepped in and was able to lead, working with guys that are 2 and 3 years older than myself. How do you get, you've got the language barrier, the culture barrier, the age barrier.
And then the other thing is you're the boss's son.
Exactly.
And how do you get that respect, right?
Exactly. And so that was the very real, concern.
Probably the toughest challenge.
And because, 4,000 cows, I could work 24 hours a day.
Jerseys, Holsteins?
Holsteins.
Okay.
I could work 24 hours a day and I can't get them all milked myself. No. I can't get them all fed myself. So it really was about the team, working with our employees. And what I found is that, just because you're green, you're new, doesn't mean that you can't give respect and earn respect back from the people that you're working with. And so it was an opportunity to, really understand the specific challenges of each person's job. And what I found is oftentimes what we were working towards was very aligned. I want the cows to be fed consistently each and every day, the ration properly mixed, everything done to perfection. And my employees want consistency. And so we were able to bring those two things together and craft a vision and a plan of how we're going to do this specific task so that every single day of the week it can be achieved to perfection. Mm-hmm. And the opportunity to work with those guys, a lot of whom my grandfather hired and have been with us for a long time. My parents maintain those relationships.
It becomes family, right? You know nothing else. You're at their birthday parties. I get it, dude. They're at your wedding.
Yep. Yeah. No. Well, they're as many guys as we can get off the shift will be there.
Yeah. Exactly. Unfortunately, there's still going to be guys milking the cows.
Yep. Exactly.
The vacas, no stop. Right?
No. Actually this week I was apologizing to some of the guys like, hey, we can't have not everyone can get a save the date.
Just invite them to the bachelor party. Make that funner than the wedding.
I don't know about that one, but no. So growing up in agriculture, watching my parents work my whole life, I had such a passion for it, a love for it, the work that we get to do with the land, with the cattle, producing food. That's such a noble concept to me. And then when I went off to school and my vision opened up to all that there was out there in the world, I realized that a lot of people don't share that same passion and joy for the way we produce food. And so sustainibeef was really born out of that because I wanted to tell the story of California agriculture, of our family farms, and the work that we're doing from a sustainability standpoint, from a community and values standpoint, to produce food that meets the needs of our consumer. And so that's really where sustainibeef came from.
So sustainibeef is a little, just for people listening, if you are not a dairyman or a beef operator, it's a little different than the dairy. It's a different operation. So touch base on that, just so people understand, like, you're not milking these animals, you're growing them for the beef.
Exactly.
Right? So
the dairy for people not from the dairy industry, if you're driving down the road and you see black and white cows or brown cows in a barn, those are dairy cows. And so they're, predominantly milk producing animals, and that's, very prevalent around here. If you're driving down the freeway, past Harris Ranch and you see a lot of, red cattle or all black
different
cattle.
Colors.
Yeah, exactly. They're just a different purpose. They're bred for different reasons.
Yep.
And what sustainibeef is utilizing Angus crossbred cattle through our supply chain with Holstein mother cows to leverage the best of both worlds. So we're going to get the efficiency and the carbon efficiency associated with having a Holstein mother cow herd, while we're going to be able to utilize high quality Angus genetics so that when these cattle are harvested and end up on your or my dinner plate, they're going to perform just the same way as the Angus beef that people know and love. So that's going to be consistency in cut size, well marbled, well tendered, very tender cuts and
huge transition right now.
Yep.
And it's been going on for, what do you think, about 5 years? How long's this deal been going on in the dairy business? Really push. I would say, am I wrong? I've been disconnected from the dairy. I mean, my family's still in it. What about 5 years? People really started pushing this.
Yep.
See, so, I mean, you're going to elaborate on it more. Mm-hmm. I'm dumb enough to know a little bit, but people who are listening, it's like these cows, which he's going to talk about his precision genetic solution, right?
Yep.
Why some cows just don't have it, and those are the cows that are getting
Exactly.
gonna be our feeder cow, right?
Yep.
To give you good food, right? Some cows are good milkers, some cows are good for the beef, right?
Exactly. So
Okay.
I guess to back up a little bit as to
Dummy said.
why this is such a concern or an opportunity for us. If you look at sustainability, there's a lot of different definitions out there. But for me, it's stewardship and efficiency, because we have to be stewards of everything we care for, but we also have to be efficient. That means producing as much food as we can with less water, less land, less carbon. And so when you evaluate any agribusiness whatsoever, there's really efficient herds, there's really efficient farms, there's inefficient farms. And within each herd, there's really efficient cows, really inefficient cows. So what this concept allows us to do is we determine which animals genetically are the most efficient, the most productive. And we're going to utilize Holstein genetics on them to make the next generation of our herd better. Mm-hmm. And for those animals that don't...
We should start doing that with human beings. I think we're kind of going backwards on humans, right? We need better ones.
Well,
besides my little daughter, she's so cute.
Well,
I'm looking at her right now.
Whether it's nature versus nurture is probably
Exactly. We can't do it like we do in the dairy. But keep going. You're killing it right now.
Yeah. So by identifying which animals are the most efficient and the most productive, and making more of them, our dairy business is getting more productive, and utilizing Angus genetics or other beef breed genetics on the lower end is essentially removing those harmful genes from our gene pool. So our dairy gets better, and now we've created more value with that calf. Now that calf has a more advantageous outcome and a more carbon efficient outcome when we take it to harvest.
And so Tony, again, I like to simplify. I'm lucky enough to understand where he's coming from a certain role. Is we are in California, I mean everywhere in the United States, pushed up against the odds. We have less feed, we have less water, we have bureaucracy coming against us. We're getting this carbon footprint deal put against us. Hey, what do farmers do? What do dairymen do? What do ranchers do? And it seems to always stem from the dairy guys, right? Become more efficient. Let's get a cow to be better. We need genetically, not modified cows, just genetic pool of higher producers, because we have less.
Yep.
So instead of a cow, like back when my grandfather and your grandfather were producing cows, a great cow was 45 to 50 pounds on hay and grain. That was just top of the line.
Yep.
I'm sure you probably got cows on your dairy doing 120, 130 pounds of milk.
Yeah. We really fortunate between the cow comfort and the management strides that we've made, as well as the genetics. Not to turn this into a brag fest of who's got higher producing cows, but we actually had the highest cow on this last test run, 200 pounds of milk.
Oh my goodness!
On 2X, and I mean that's very
2X. That's not 3X.
No, it's.
Are you on a rotary or parallel?
So parallel on one facility, herringbone on the others.
Okay, so 200 pounds of milk.
It's
so
just,
divide that by 8.6. What is it? Right?
8.6.
Okay, so I'm going to do quick math. How many gallons is that, Dick? I'm getting dumb here. 24 gallons, almost a little more.
It'd be in that ballpark.
Yeah, at 26. I mean, just think of what that cow is feeding people every day, and that cow will eat a little more, but not much more. She's just an efficient, freaking. I mean, she's just a genetic specimen.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. We can let the viewers know it's just one cow.
It's just one cow, but
that
well,
that's what we're trending towards.
Is many of her is possible.
Yeah.
Right.
So if we could fill every hole with a cow that's performing at that level, that means less acres, less water, less land is going to be dedicated towards food production.
Exactly.
And that is the definition of a lower carbon footprint system. And these are the kind of concepts that we're working towards in the dairy industry and across agriculture. To really give consumers what it is they want. They've told us we want our food system to look different, and sustainibeef exists to answer that question.
And then what Tony's doing on his sustainibeef side is saying, I'm not going to waste cows that are not as good a quality, right? So he's impregnating them with a high quality beef that people want.
Exactly.
Correct?
So it adds value to that calf and makes that calf more efficient, but also a lot better when it gets to harvest, because it's going to have the ribeye shape that, both you and I are going to crave, that is going to be acceptable to chefs in steakhouses. And so it's a tremendous business decision to try and create more with what we've got.
Yep.
But from a consumption standpoint, it just gives that much more flexibility to the entire supply chain to be able to provide high quality beef to consumers.
And we need that. I mean, in order to keep these dairymen afloat, they need other options. They need other sources of income, such as the digesters. I don't know if your dairy's doing one of those, but it's another option, right? Because, dairymen are just getting beat to literally zero left. I guess if people don't want to drink milk, eat ice cream or cheese, then put them out of business, right? But everybody loves pizza. I'm sure I'm going to eat something with cheese on it tonight. My kids need milk, right? Mm-hmm. Some people might argue that, but I say, you know what? My kid is pretty tall, pretty strong, and lives off whole milk, right? I was born out of a tank, right? A milk tank. I mean, I'm sure you were too. I hated having to go get that gallon of milk at night before dinner. I don't know about you. Yeah. That was always my job, walk down to the street to the milk tank. So what you're doing is creating sustainability and efficiencies at every point you can make. Like you were talking about data and analytics earlier today. I don't know if everybody will understand that, because it's just on a high end. The only reason I do is because I was in cattle, and I understand how touchy of a subject that is and how you have to find the best genetics. But let's talk about sustainibeef and what you're doing with that company right now.
Yeah. So exactly what you said. I mean, there's different people that can argue about, a small proportion of people, the vegan movement, they're going to tell you that we don't need that. And sustainibeef.
You ever smelled a vegan? They walk by you and they stink.
Well, we didn't start sustainibeef for them to be our target market at all.
Who cares?
They've made up their mind. What our goal is if for the people that are consuming animal protein, which is the vast majority of Americans, and each and every day around the world, animal protein consumption's on the rise.
People want it.
Exactly. It's high quality protein. Oftentimes it's especially in the United States, it's one of the most affordable sources of protein that's available. We can get into all the science on different fatty acids and things like that, but ultimately it's nutrition. And the goal of all of us, in the dairy industry, whether it's stated or not, we're producing fat, protein, and healthy, nutritious food for our consumers. However they decide to consume it, that's our goal. And with sustainibeef, it's saying, I don't know about your Facebook feed, but I scroll on it and it's rare that I can go a day without somebody saying that, animal agriculture is killing the environment, agriculture in general, genetically modified organisms, all the buzzwords that we as commercial agriculture are hurting the world.
Yeah.
And
people just trying to find a job. That's what they're doing. They're full of shit. They don't have nothing to do. Trying to find a job, and Hollywood is paying for this crap, right?
Well, I definitely don't agree with them, but I feel as though they're sending a message to us, and if we fight it too hard, we're not listening to exactly what they're saying and what they're asking for. And to this day, I'm a staunch supporter of genetically modified organisms and a lot of the practices that we use. But what I'm hoping to do with sustainibeef is tell consumers that we're listening. We hear that you want something to change, whether that we need to educate you better, whether that's certain practices and side effects and different things of how we're doing agribusiness right now needs to change. But we hear you, and we're going to work towards creating a product that you are excited about, a product that fits your needs and is aligned with your values. And
so let's talk about your product. How does it originate? How does it become?
Yep. So we'll take a Angus crossbred steer. take it up to harvest weight, and then it goes through a USDA inspected facility. It's flash frozen to preserve its quality. It's plastic wrapped so that it's something that is transportable and easily used by the average consumer. And we get that back, and when someone logs onto our website, sustainabeef.com, and orders a box, we ship that meat under dry ice directly to the consumer with recycled and biodegradable and compostable box components. So it's our most successful product line is that Sustainabox, with the option of it being a monthly subscription. And the really interesting thing about cattle that people rarely think about is when you harvest an animal, they're not all filet mignon. They're not all tri-tips.
No,
and
unfortunately, that would be nice, right?
Yeah, exactly. So as a startup, I really had to come up with a model to make animals disappear in the proportions that nature intended. And so that means that every box is going to be about 50% ground beef in patties and 1 pound packages. It's going to be about 25 to 30% of the primal steaks, the filet mignon, the New York, the ribeye, all the major cuts that people know and love, and a few that they perhaps haven't experienced yet, skirt steak, flank steak.
So do you send like recipes in there to give them a little advice on how to use those?
So we've got a lot of that type of stuff on our social media. We've experimented with different things within the box. So we don't, admittedly, I think I'm pretty good at raising steaks. I'm not the best at cooking them yet, so we'll probably...
You need a chef. You need to call somebody. You need to call, what's that crazy chef? I forgot his name. The one on Hell's Kitchen. Say, hey, I need some recipe advice.
Gordon Ramsay?
Yeah, that guy's a stud, dude.
Yeah. See, he's the master of that domain.
Yeah.
That's not mine yet. So
that might be an idea, though.
Yeah.
Add some recipes in there, because you're right. Unfortunately, we like to go to Costco and grab the filet, the rib, but that's not sustainable either. We have a lot of other byproducts of a cow.
Yep. No.
And I think that's good
100%.
you're doing that.
And then the remainder of that box, that other 20%, is going to be some of the roasts, which growing up, we're always, we always had a freezer full of beef. We're farmers, ranchers. That's what we do. And so I grew up on roasts and stews.
And potato. Yep. Same here, man.
It's great stuff. But I found that not a lot of people are as familiar with a chuck roast as I was. So it's been fun.
Crock pot.
Exactly. I mean,
that's why you got to send out the recipe, man. Teach them. Sometimes you got to educate your consumer how to use what you know is special. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's a great point.
Little advice. I'm not saying I can't, but I agree. Like my wife cooks roasts and things like that. Phenomenal. Put some carrots, celery.
Yep.
But you're right. People just don't get it. It's easy. Go get a crock pot.
Yeah, and it does all the work for you. You just throw it all in there and turn it on.
It's a pretty easy deal.
Yeah. So just, educating them on different parts of the animal that they've never eaten before. And I mean, it's amazing what I considered some of the lowest.
You don't send the tongue, the lingua, right?
No. So everything, I guess, earlier you were referencing the meat man that shows up and leaves something at your doorstep, through our route with the USDA inspection, we've got different guidelines that we can fit and different cuts we can do. But that is actually a pretty frequent request. People want the tongue or the liver, and as of right now, Sustainabeef's not able to make that happen.
I got it. Yeah, but there's some rules against that, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
What differentiates your cattle from somebody else?
So, I mean, if you were out on the farm and you saw the cattle. They're going to look as stereotypically Angus as anyone outside of a lifelong cattleman could tell. I mean, we sell some of these cattle into the traditional feedlot industry, and the buyers are amazed that they're not 100% Angus. They're really high quality.
What ration are you on? TMR?
Yep. So our nutritionist that we've got on the dairy side formulating the rations helps us make sure that the steers, first and foremost, they're getting what they need to be healthy and gain efficiently, but also that marbling and tenderness is going to show through. And so, from the actual cattle standpoint, they're high quality cattle. But there's high quality cattle in other places in the country too. So that's not necessarily our main differentiator. What's different about us is that Sustainabeef is here in Gustine, California. And so if someone's in San Francisco, Palo Alto, Los Angeles, and they want to put food on their dinner table, they have the opportunity to know
who's producing that end product. Know that, we're a 4th generation family farm. Here's how the cattle are raised. Look on our Instagram. This is the farm they came from.
Have you had people want to come out and see your ranch?
Yeah.
I'm just saying a consumer. I don't know.
I thought there would be more of that. Mostly local people that already knew us. They say, hey, this is cool. Love the beef. I want to come out and take a look. Bring your grandkids.
Yeah.
And like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Come on by. But I was surprised. I thought that was going to be a more consistent stream of
liberals
people
coming out there.
Yeah. But it's just an opportunity for them to know the family and the food behind what ends up on their dinner table. And that's
I really like
very
that.
unique. And
what's been your hardest part of the business?
I would say just a startup in general. So I've grown up around business. I'm a huge fan of business books and self-development books. So I've been reading all this stuff my whole life. And, like everyone else, I watch Shark Tank. I get really excited about that. Numbers and data and leading people, just that really, really gets me going. But when you go from my experience in established businesses through my internships and the family business compared to a startup, there's not really a historical baseline to know how many steers I can how many people are going to come when you build a product? Are they going to come? How many do I do for my initial minimum viable product? How do I plan and forecast for the first holiday season? Managing cash flow and various aspects like that. I mean, it's for sure challenging, but I consider it one of the best educations I've ever received is when you actually step out into the world of doing business on your own, and the burden of success and failures on your own shoulders. You learn a lot about yourself, and that's ultimately rising to meet those challenges is in my opinion where growth comes from. And so that's been the most challenging part. But I wouldn't trade that for anything.
The way you're saying it is challenging, but it also, I'm looking at you right now. I mean, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see him, but you look like you feel super rewarded.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. My biggest thing, as 2019 was ending and we were heading in 2020 and I had, the idea for precision genetic solutions and the idea for sustainibeef, and I, was kind of working on it, but I was kind of sitting on my hands. And I really believe that at the end of your life, you're going to look back and you're going to regret the things you didn't do, not the things that you do. And so I didn't want to be the person that just sat there with ideas and just kept going to work, doing the normal things the normal way.
You don't want to be the typical salesman who knows everything but just never done it.
Exactly. I really wanted to be standing there on the edge, that precipice of, failure exists. And so the moment that I launched into these businesses, it's been a challenge, but man, it is so rewarding, so freeing to know that, I can stand in that fire, I can face that fire, and with any business, anything related, I mean, as we've seen in the last year, so much is out of your control. What the stock market does and what the governments do with shutting us all down, you can't really control any of that. And ultimately, failure is very real. I think it's something like 97% of businesses don't make it to their 10th year anniversary. Yeah. And so just having the
I almost got one that made it there. 2 more years.
I'm
only 10 years. I'm 8 years in business.
Statistical anomaly.
Yeah.
You're an outlier.
Yeah.
So just
don't say things like that. Shit, man.
Well,
it's the truth.
The truth. But understanding that and realizing that, if you are not in a position where failure is an option, you're not pushing yourself. And so, like you said, these are challenges and they're still real and present fears. But the fact that I'm able to go into business and deploy a little bit of capital and an idea and a whole lot of hard work to potentially achieve something bigger than myself, that I'll be excited about that every day for the rest of my life. And
you're going to be successful.
Oh, well, I appreciate that.
I know your parents have been a success. Is there anybody in this sustainibeef company that you, I guess, how do you say it, shout out, or somebody who's helped you along the way other than your parents? I know your family has been just right there with you the whole time.
Yeah, I'm really everybody. I mean, like you mentioned, my family, my fiance, Emily, for supporting some of these crazy ideas and going with me to drop off boxes.
It's important.
And, to have her as a support system is incredible. The team at Root Marketing, bringing them on, specifically Francesca and Sam and Stephanie, just having people in my court that are talented, they're motivated, they see the vision, and with a startup company, you could probably attest to this too, what your initial vision is.
Well, yeah,
I mean, 2 months later, you're working on something totally different. And so to have everybody working with you through that adversity, overcoming obstacles, great team to have.
I know, like, people who work with me, like at the Ag Center, they're like, hey, we want to know your vision. And like, no, man, this thing is changing daily. And it's just like your business. It's changing daily. You don't just put your head down and go to work. You might one day be playing quarterback and the next day be playing punter. Just be ready.
Yep.
Grab the ball if you're going to get the ball, or block, and do what you got to do, because it's changing every day. And I think that's what you're really going to have, Tony. It's just a lot of crazy changes.
Yep.
I mean, you're a year and a half into business, or?
Yep. So coming up on our 1 year anniversary of the launch, I think Earth Day is April 24th or 25th. So that'll be sustainibeef. And then PGS, we started that out in August. So just rounding out, what would that be? About 7-8 months. So.
Yeah. I mean, you just got to, it's just going to change. It's going to evolve, right? Talking to you earlier today, like I said, I don't want to get into all the, little digital things on cows and things like that, I can tell you're super passionate about it. You're not going to have failure. The toughest thing is going to be just people, right? Dealing with consumers, unfortunately, which to me is a customer. You have a consumer, they're buying it. They're your customer, but they're a consumer of your product. And nobody tells you when you're doing unfortunately, a really good job. Hopefully, it feels so good when they do, right? They call you and say, oh, I love that package of beef. Fortunately, you only hear a lot of times the complaints, right? And those hurt. Mm-hmm. So emotionally, it can be draining, right? But if you're passionate about what you're doing and excited about what you're doing, as I can tell you thoroughly are. For 25 years old, you got your shit together, man. You really do. Oh. You really do. I mean that.
No,
sincerely.
I appreciate that. It's just one of those things that, when you believe in something and you've got an idea that you want to bring to the world, you just kind of figure out how to do it.
You got to do it.
And sitting on it to me was, like you said, I don't want to be looking back saying, well, I could have started a beef company and, man.
Well, somebody else is doing it, right?
Yeah. Or, I was sitting there saying, I don't like how agriculture tells our story to consumers.
Yeah.
So am I going to wait 10 years?
I appreciate that.
And then go to the CMAB meeting, the Milk Advisory Board meeting, and raise my hand and say, you guys don't know what you're talking about? Or do I get in the trenches and start telling the story the way I want it to be told?
I agree. So, Tony, you are working with the Ag Center Root. You're working with the marketing company. Tell me a little bit about that. How is marketing helping your company? I think I love marketing. I think it's a way to get out to consumers. I think it's smart, especially in what you're doing. You complimented them. Has it helped your company? Or?
Oh, absolutely. The credibility that it provides to have quality content and a team that has skills beyond myself. So when I started out, I was cobbling stuff together with my limited ability and trying to make it look good. I designed our first iteration of the logo on Microsoft PowerPoint with some funny fonts and a screenshot.
Because you didn't have money, probably.
Yeah.
You're figuring it out, dude.
And so, that's great to get it off the ground. But for me to take this company where I want it to go, I needed talent. And that's not something that, I can just roll down to and grab someone with a master's degree in marketing. So what they have done as a company to really democratize marketing, where small and mid-sized companies
take it off your plate.
Yep, I can take it off my plate. I don't have to bear the cost of a full-time marketing staff, but I can still reap the benefits of their talent and their abilities. And to put it bluntly, when I brought them on, that's what I was like, I just got to get this off my plate. And then as I met with them and had them come out to the farm, the content that they shot, the connections that they've been able to make with different people in the media, I mean, they continually blow my mind with everything that they're working on. It's just incredibly, incredibly talented people. They've exceeded every expectation that I've had, and I've seen that in the sales.
Well, that is a very sweet compliment. You're breaking Sam's heart back there as he's listening. Sam and Stephanie and their team, Francesca, they are incredibly, I would say, just as it sounds like you're happy with them, I would say they have the same admiration towards what you're doing. I remember I was actually in their office when they got your beef back, and they were so excited. And those are the fun things, successes together. So, it's fun. Just I probably, just getting to know you, we're going to create a friendship. I'm going to probably come up with ideas that I'm going to send to you with things, just because I do have ideas for your company. Number one is send recipes with shit that people don't want to cook, but could be really good.
Yep.
Right. And second of all, how'd you get connected with the Ag Center? I know that's kind of the foundation. I know a buddy of ours together, and what your thoughts are. And because I know you're not in the Ag Center, we consider you a family of the Ag Center because you work with Root, of course. But, what have you thought about it? And I really, if you say half of what you said earlier, I'm going to be really excited about what you said. But kind of tell us on that, just from a young guy looking at what the Ag Center is doing and how they've helped you a little bit.
Yeah. So one of your affiliates, Rasmussen Farms, the owner there, Ethan.
That sneaky sucker.
Yeah. No, he lives right next to me in Gustine. Went to high school with him and then Cal Poly. And
Yep.
He's been a longtime friend. And when he got working with you guys, of course, I follow his accounts
Yep.
on Instagram, started following your accounts, and I was just really blown away by everything he said and everything that I saw, because what I described when I was talking about Root, where you've got really talented young people that want to do things differently, that's what it seemed that you had created an ecosystem where that could flourish, where a lot of really talented, ambitious young people came together and said, hey, we're gonna do this thing, we're gonna do it different, we're gonna do it better, and we're not gonna wait in line for anyone's permission. We're not gonna wait till we're 45, 50 years old, put in our, pay our dues, and seeing a lot of those young guys that I went to school with, really talented people working for you. That's exactly what they're doing. It, by all accounts, everything I see online, you guys are really breaking down the door on a lot of things. You're doing things differently. You're challenging the industry. You're being disruptive, but also constructive at the same time.
I love that word. Thank you. Disruption.
Yeah. And
any of our competitors listening, I love that too.
Well, that's you embody that, being able to bring in all these different people and work towards just being better tomorrow than you are today. It's really impressive. I've been a big fan from afar. Seeing, when I answered the phone today and you said, "This is Doug Bruner," I was like, "Whoa, this is real." And so it's an honor to be able to sit here with you guys.
It was an honor you actually answered my phone call. Most people just click. Oh, man. Dude, you're a stud. You're a young, aggressive young guy. I hope maybe I'll do something with you someday. I don't know, man. You got it. You got it clicking for you, and I hope anybody who's listening, check him out, man. How do we order a box of your beef so we can taste your goodness and get to have that at our household on our plate? And how do we get in contact with you, dude?
Yep. So it's all online, e-commerce based. So Facebook, Instagram, you could go on there. There's a link, or just
what's the link? What is it on Instagram?
So we're at sustainibeef on Instagram. SUSTAINIBEEF.
We'll make it known on this podcast.
And
I can't spell, bud.
And Just it's spelled just how it sounds.
Okay.
And if you throw an A in there instead of an I own that domain too, so it'll route you right to the same the same
Buy
website.
domains.
So, and we've got a website there. Details.
Is that where you order?
Yep.
On your website? Okay.
Details. Whatever product configuration fits their needs the best. Whether it's a subscription, one-time box.
Can people call a number 2?
Yeah.
To order? I'm
yep.
just saying, okay.
Yeah.
Some people like personal, right?
Yep.
A little bit?
Yep. And a lot of people, they'll get online, they'll type us a little message, and I'll call and follow up.
Okay.
Particularly people wanting to buy a half at a time, just to understand how that works, and because it's a larger upfront cost, just how, what does 240 pounds of beef actually look like? What does
A
that
lot.
mean? It's a sizable,
About me.
sizable amount of meat, and we've got a promotion we're running where with the purchase of a half steer, we'll send you a chest freezer too. So it alleviates some of a lot of people, they say, well, 240 pounds of meat at that price point. Yeah, that's great. I'll do that any day of the week. And then so the next question is, well, where do I put it all? So this sort of alleviates that concern so that people can have that same degree of food security, eat one steer at a time, the way that you or I might have done growing up on a farm.
You remember when you would go pick up the cow from the locker when we were little, or Sanders or wherever, and your mom would look at the freezer, where the hell are we going to put this? You start stuffing it, and wham, wham, wham. I remember that when I was, shit.
Before I knew what Tetris was, that's what it.
Exactly.
It's like,
Exactly.
If you flip the roast that way, you put the patties here, and throw out the old package of hot dogs.
I like your parents and mine. We don't waste nothing. Eat it all. Eat it all.
Yep.
Anyways, Tony Lopes, stud, sustainibeef, family, 4th generation family in Gustine. I know he's going to keep that going. It will be 5th, I'm sure 6th, prolonging. Passionate about what he does. What a pleasure, man. Of course we're going to toast. I'm drinking a Modelo. You're drinking a Coors Light. I'm sorry, but congratulations on everything you're doing. We're out.